and welcome back to the channel. I'm on question number 6, which is, what has been your lowest point? So my journal entry is this. There have been a few low points in the last 10 years since all the official diagnoses were given, except of course the high blood pressure that was about 26 years ago. I guess I would say that 10 years ago, when I had to quit my job and not have the option to work again because I just can't handle the stress of it all. I couldn't even move off the couch without my world spinning. Dizzy, nausea, and even at times feeling as if I couldn't move at all. The turning point for me was one night at work in the winter, the year before I quit. I was in my office, no one else was in the building. I had my music playing while I was filing and cleaning up papers and cleaning up the office. And then all of a sudden it felt as if something punched me in the gut. The room got really hot. It seemed as if someone had walked by in the front office, but no one was there. I felt so tired all of a sudden, and I thought maybe it's because I hadn't eaten dinner. It was already about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, and I had been there since quite early. So I called my mom so that she could pick me up because I didn't have my car. My husband had it because he was going to come in to work later that night when they dropped off the newspaper to go out and deliver. Now, when I called her so she could come and pick me up to get something for dinner, because I thought maybe I just needed to eat. We got dinner and I felt a little better, but still very tired. Later we went to Lowe's, and as I stood behind my mom, I felt that punch in the gut again, and it felt as if I was going to faint. I felt my body fall, but I was still standing. I couldn't talk or move, and all the voices sounded as if someone was playing a record very slowly, and everything in my vision went into a haze. It got worse after that. Days of not being able to even leave the house. Panic attacks and feelings of fear took over my body and my mind. Was it stress? Yes, possibly, partially. I was no longer able to deal with the stress of work, not feeling well, and the stresses of life in general. Today I still wonder why. Why did this happen, and how did I allow it? I don't know if those answers will ever come. So, at that time when those episodes, whatever they were happening, we still don't really know exactly what it was. It could have been stress, panic attacks, disassociation, something to do with mental health. Now, it could also be a combination of mental and physical health because years later, just a few years ago, as a matter of fact, well, I'll go back. Around that time that this was happening, my doctor that I had at the time thought that it was possible that I was having seizures. And I do not know how to say this word. It's spelled as if it's syncope or syncope seizures. They're seizures where you don't shake, you don't move around or anything. It's kind of like you're just stuck still. Now, I went to a neurologist, but by the time I got an appointment with him, and when I went in, he said that he didn't have my paperwork. I had it there with me, I had the referral and everything, but he didn't want to deal with it. He just said that because I had high blood pressure and I was overweight, that's all it was, and I needed to go get a stress test and a heart test and all this other stuff. Well, I did, and all that was fine. So he never did anything else. So I just ignored it and just went on with my life. Then a few years later, I was having the same things, but I was just ignoring them. And because I just didn't want to deal with it. So when me and my husband moved to the place we are now, which was almost 5 years ago, it'll be 5 years, September 29th, we had to come back and forth on the bus at about 4. We had to be at the bus stop before 5 a.m. We'd get dropped off there, and then we'd come to Las Vegas. My parents would pick us up here, and we'd go directly, well, we'd come here and have breakfast with them and coffee, and then we'd go to the place that we were living in so we could clean more stuff out, because we had so much stuff and we were going to such a small space that we had a lot of things to get rid of. And we had a lot of help, thank God, from my parents, for my husband's parents, for some of their friends, and some of our friends who helped us take the things that we needed to take out of there and get them out to the place we are now. So during that time, I think I just got really stressed out, and I was already feeling sick. I was having a lot of issues back then with a lot of health stuff that I didn't even know was happening, or I didn't know they were as bad as they were. So that January, I think we finished cleaning out the place probably that November. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. But in January I had come down, and we may still have been dealing with some of that stuff. I just remember feeling really sick. I was getting really dizzy, nausea, just like I was gonna faint a lot. I never fainted, but I always had that feeling. A lot of anxiety, a lot of panic attacks, and I would get these things, and this is things that I was dealing with for over 10 years already, that we still don't necessarily know what they were. It was kind of like I could hear and also feel this zap right in my head. It felt like, kind of like when you shock yourself, like that feeling, but in my head, and I could hear it in my ears, and it just sounded like a zzz. And so when that would happen, it would just happen once every so often, but it would happen. But it was about one time, maybe twice, and I would get so sick afterwards, so tired, to the point like it felt like I had just like ran a 5K or hadn't slept for 10 days or something, and it just overtook me so badly, and I couldn't function after that. And that happened quite often over the last 10 years, and a little before that as well. We don't know still what they were. We don't know if it had something to do with what could have possibly been seizures or what was happening. So in that January, that was happening, and I got really sick, but I was like, no, I'm going to ignore it. I'm fine. It's probably just my blood pressure, which is nothing to say it's just my blood pressure and ignore, but that's my way of coping with things, because I don't want to face them because it's scary. So then February came along, and I came to visit my parents, and I think I came alone that time. So when I got here, I had that same zap. I was really dizzy, and I just didn't feel well. So they convinced me to go to the emergency room. So I did. And they did all these tests. My blood pressure was slightly high, but it went down pretty quickly. I'm not sure if they checked my sugars then or not, but they did CT scans. I think they did an MRI of my brain. They did a lot of different things. And it came back that I have, in the right frontal lobe, I have white matter damage. They don't know why. They don't know what caused it necessarily, because nothing was really happening at that time to show up. They're thinking that it's possible it was a mini stroke at one time, and possibly that month before when I was really sick. It could be from having high blood pressure for a very long time. So it's still kind of the same thing. I've had one more MRI after that. It still looks the same. It hadn't changed at that time, which was a few years ago. So recently I went to the doctor, and I've been having numbness on both sides of my face, but mostly on the left. And I've had Bell's palsy before, and so that's what I was thinking it was. So I get this numbness that starts in my head, and it kind of goes down into my face and into my neck and kind of through the back here. Well, I talked to my doctor about it, and she said that they don't know exactly what causes Bell's palsy, but there is a nerve right back here that if it gets inflamed, it causes the face to be temporarily paralyzed, like a stroke. It looks like you had a stroke. So that was the Bell's palsy part of it, right? So when I talked to her about that, I told her that I was getting the numbness again, and then I kind of explained to her about the right frontal lobe white matter damage that had come up, because at the time I don't think I was seeing her as the doctor, because I had moved, and I think at the time I was seeing a doctor in where I live now, and now I've come back to her because the doctor I was seeing over there left, and I thought, I really liked her, and the next one that came on, there was some issues there that I didn't appreciate, because my blood pressure was really, really high one time that I went in. The nurse was kind of worried about it, and so she told the doctor, I guess, and when the doctor came in, the first thing that she says, with like a snarky little remark, was, "Oh, are you having a stroke?" And I'm like, and she wasn't a doctor, she's like a PA or something like that. I didn't even know how to respond. It was like, what? Because in her mind, I have high blood pressure, I was overweight, I needed to deal with it, and I know that. I know, and I'm working on that, right? And I had been working on that, and I explained that to her, and she could see the numbers going down, but that was like the first thing they see, right? And so she made this like a snarky remark, and I didn't know what to do, and I have a hard time standing up for myself, so I didn't say anything. I should have reported her, I never did. So I started coming back to the doctor I'm seeing now. So she mentioned to me that there's a thing called silent migraines. And I used to get migraines before. Now, I won't say never, but I didn't always have the debilitating headaches. What I would have a lot was a lot of pressure in my head, like if somebody just had a band around my head and was pressing it, or it was on one or the other side. Most of the time it was on one side or the other, and it just felt like someone was pushing in on my head. And then I'd get this numbness on my head, and my eye would hurt. But there was times that I would just wake up in the middle of the night with these, where I would see like flashes of like lights and stuff, and it was dark, but it was like I couldn't see anything but these light flashing in my eyes, and I would get so sick, like nauseated and just really dizzy, and I couldn't move, I couldn't function correctly. So that was happening then. Now, I know I talked to the doctors I was seeing then. I don't know what they told me. They did say that I'd probably suffering with migraines, but they never really did anything about it. So she talked about that this time around. And when I looked up what silent migraines were, the damage that they can cause, because they can cause TIAs, and I can't remember exactly what it stands for, but I'll look that up and I'll put that up on the screen. But the damage that those cause is very similar to a stroke, just as serious as a stroke, just not, it doesn't happen because of the same thing. Because I believe a stroke is like a blood clot going through your brain, and if it's a minor stroke or a mini stroke, it's like it was able to go through faster or something like that, and if it's not, you have a major stroke, is my understanding. I could be wrong, I'm not a doctor, I don't know, but that's my understanding of that. So she said it was possible that I was been having these silent migraines, and that's what caused this damage. So I do need to see a neurologist again, because I'm having the same issues. I'm having a lot of dizziness. I've been dealing with that a lot lately, and just not feeling well overall. And because my blood pressure has been up and down, I kind of need to take care of that. So I have an appointment with a neurologist, but of course I can't see them until January. So in between that time, my doctor cannot see me till October unless I come in as a walk-in. And I'm tempted to do that next week, because this week I won't be able to, because I have physical therapy tomorrow and today, and they're actually closed on Fridays, and today I wasn't able to. But next week I may have to do that, and if worst comes to worst, I guess, if I'm just not feeling well, which I'm not most days, I may just end up going to urgent care or emergency room, because they can do all the tests there right away without me having to go to the doctor and getting referrals and then going and having the test done. So, that's kind of that's my story of what's going on and what has been my lowest point, because it's kind of been a combination of those things. It's kind of like a roller coaster. The beginning was really, really bad, and it got a little better, and then it got really bad, and it got a little better, and then with the loss of my mom, that really sent me spiraling into a lot of depression and grief and anxiety. And it's gotten a little bit better where I'm starting, because, I'm trying to rely on God for that and just let Him guide me and help me deal with the grief to where I don't get stuck in it. But because of all of that, some of my health issues, I think, are just getting a little worse because of the grief, because of the stress of it all, and just feeling alone a lot because I don't have my mom to talk to about the things that are going on in my life, because she was the one that I talked to the most. Besides, I think I have really one other, besides my husband, one friend that I have, and I do talk to my sisters. I just feel bad because they're younger than me, and I'm the oldest, and I feel like I don't want to burden them with the things that are going on. And I know they don't feel that way, but still. And I don't want to burden my dad with everything because he's dealing with his own grief and all the things going on. So I'm just trying to navigate through all of this stuff, and that's partially why I really enjoy being able to share this on YouTube with you all. And just, if you guys will continue to pray for me so I can navigate through all the things that are going on. And I thank you for joining me, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.